As we all know, we are in the middle of a severe humanitarian crisis. The coronavirus pandemic is not just a health emergency, but an economic emergency as well. The COVID outbreak has severely affected the real estate and construction sector of India. So today we have with us Dr. Niranjan Hiranandani, the co-founder and MD of Hiranandani Group, one of India's premium real estate developers. He is also the president of NAREDCO, the National Real Estate Development Council, and the president of ASSOCHAM, Associated Chambers of Commerce India. So he will provide us with insights on the impact the real estate industry faces due to the COVID-19 crisis. Hello, Dr. Hiranandani.
Hello, nice to talk to you, Amir.
Yes. So I'll straight away begin by asking you that the real estate sector was already undergoing a downturn over the past year and a half. So how has the current pandemic affected its $12 billion economy?
Well, I think the real estate is very badly affected. It's, as you must be aware, it consists of 7% of the GDP of the country. It employs 15% of the labor force of India. So obviously, with the lockdown, it is severely affected. It's a labor-intensive industry and affects 269 other industries along with it, because it's resources, materials of different kind, from iron and steel to nails to the smallest of small items which go into the building industry.
Thank you. The next question I would want to ask is, you have been expressing concern over large foreclosures taking place in the real estate sector. Since companies have their shares coming down, how do you think can this be prevented post the pandemic?
Well, I was not complaining about the real estate industry. I was complaining about overall the entire industry gamut across the country. One foreign company used Axis Bank foreclosure for the purposes of taking over the shares of a company and wanted to sell off in the market after the prices had fallen down by 50%. Fortunately, the Mumbai High Court gave a stay against such a sale. Subsequent and consequent to that, we are concerned about this fall, that this could be a manner in which foreign companies and foreigners would be able to take over the entire gamut of industry and business at prices which are absolutely run down. So I think there is a serious concern in terms of such a takeover taking place, and hence we have recommended that the IBC code in terms of NCLT should be suspended for a period of 6 months in order to take care of this contingency, which actually goes against all players into the market and actually destroys the value of all companies today, listed and unlisted.
Right. Okay. Also, there is a huge concern over the holding capacities of the small and medium builders in surviving through this crisis. So what do you think are the steps that the government can take to help these builders?
I think it's not true about small builders. It's true of all builders. Anyone who is slightly or more leveraged today is in difficulty because of the stoppage, followed by earlier demonetization, GST, RERA, IBC code, and then the IL&FS crisis. All this subsequent and coming down to the COVID-19 crisis that we have got, a combination of all this has hit everybody below the belt. It has hit the real estate industry too. And hence, it's not only the small, but the big two who are in difficulty today across the board. I think this crisis is something that the government has understood now. And the Reserve Bank of India has already said that they are giving a 2-year sabbatical for the purposes of loans outstanding on from March of 2020 and is entitled to a turnover. Also, if the IBC code gets amended in order to stay any foreclosures in these next 6 months, that would be definitely a benefit position for people to take care of this intermittent crisis. And the RERA regulation has been suspended for a period of 3 months at least as far as Maharashtra is concerned. And I'm sure the other RERA authorities in the countries will follow suit. So all in all, the concern is definitely there of this crisis, which is affecting the market, small and big. And we hope that with institutional funding now coming the way, with the RBI giving focus to real estate, to commercial real estate, and this is really going to be an important move. We expect also that more funding will be able to come. And last of all, the stressed assets fund, the swine fund, is going to, of 25,000 crores, is likely to be followed by further funds and other amendments which will help those companies in crisis. And the RBI statement that 20% additional funding will be 10 to 20% additional funding will be available to companies on their ongoing projects. I think a combination of this with increase in requirement of working capital will probably sort out the problem in the short run, but demand, of course, has to come back in the long run.
Right, thank you. There are reported efforts by some state governments to convert large unsold inventory to centralized quarantine and isolation facilities. What are your views on this?
I think it's imperative. I think health of the country comes first. If some certain apartments are to be given, it have to be given. I mean, health of the people is necessary, and if quarantine is required, and that is determined by the competent authority, so it is, and we must cooperate. Hospitals need to cooperate. People need to cooperate. I think all in all, we need to actually work it out to see that we sort out the COVID problem completely, the health side, and now the economic side.
Right. And what do you see are the biggest challenges ahead in terms of the steps that have been initiated by the government to start construction on the site with safety and security? How do you think will this pan out?
I think the episode which took place in Bandra was indicative enough of the restlessness of the workers who are there, especially the migrant workers who are there on the sites. They are not there sitting over there only to have food. They get food in their farms, but they want jobs, and that is why they come into urban areas to work. Today's situation was such with the lockdown, it was not possible to satisfy the workforce to do it. And the economic driver of putting the construction industry back is equally important. Projects need to be followed up and completed. So an interim solution has been found that the construction places where construction workers are available in situ on the site, those are the projects which have now been permitted, subject to conditions and subject to other local issues that may come up, to be started by the 20th of April. And of course, subsequently, probably after 3rd May, another decision could be forthcoming. But as of now, it is very, very limited construction availability, and you cannot bring workers from outside to do these projects. It will be restricted as far as this is concerned.
Right. And finally, you have mentioned of the proactive steps that the government has already taken. But looking in the long term, what do you personally feel should be the economic and policy stimulus that the government should bring in so that the real estate sector jumps back in the long term?
Well, real estate is a touchstone and cornerstone of the country's GDP, including the 15% of the workforce. So if you don't work on real estate, nothing will work. At the end of the day, you have to do it. But stimulus is not required only for real estate. It's required for the entire economy. So let's talk about the economy as a whole. We are looking that there should be a one-time rollover in terms of all outstanding debts as on March of 2020. We do believe that the total stimulus should be at least 10% of GDP. I think Niti Aayog has recommended 5 of 10 lakh crores of rupees, and we are suggested in ASSOCHAM 14 lakhs crores of stimulus package. We have also asked that the credit guarantee should be given for additional funding to real estate, but also for the rest of industry. We have asked for a 6-month sabbatical for NCLT. a very important factor are dues of government. Government has not paid its income tax refunds. It has not paid its VAT refunds. It has not paid its NHAI dues. It's not paid its DISCOM payments, the fertilizer subsidies. State governments have not paid their dues, and the central has not paid the state government their dues. So I think if that amount is also put back into the market as a part of the stimulus package, which would be about 2,20,000 crores, and a GST cut, which would mean another 3 lakh crores, I think this kind of stimulus is needed in order to bring the economy back onto the foot. If this is done along with controlling the health environment, I think we can bring the economy back to track by Diwali of this year, or at the most December. Without the stimulus, we'll be in difficulty. Huge amount of unemployment, huge amount of problems as far as industry to roll out again, and certainly no demand. So I think a combination of all the 2 or 3 factors are important, and a strong stimulus package is needed in order to take off the economy. If this happens, I promise you, we will be ahead of the world. Already the international estimates talk about India growing at 1.9% in spite, or 2%, in spite of the fact of all this setback. We can go back to 4 and 5% if all this stimulus package is done. Plus, we'll be able to sort out the unemployment issues or solve the employment issues. Of course, some skill development activity needs to be taken up forthwith.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hiranandani, for these insightful comments. It is always a delight to hear from you, sir.
Thank you.
And thank you everyone for tuning in for this digital conversation conducted by the Observer Research Foundation. We hope you all are taking good care of yourselves and your families. We urge you all to stay home and stay safe. Thank you.